This video was in response to a request. We have the three generations or three variants of the Zastava CZ99, EZ9, CZ999 handguns. If you're not familiar with these, this might be a good chance to learn. If you are familiar with them, hopefully I can answer some questions for you. So we went and visited Zastava in the summer of 2015. Went to the factory in Serbia and got to shoot a lot of fun guns. If you haven't seen those videos, go take a look. My apologies, that's long before we had learned a bit more about photography or even having equipment. But it was a good time and we got some great experience with them. I've always been a fan of Zastava's firearms, have quite a few of them dating back from World War II to just a couple years ago. These pistols are somewhat similar to a CZ999, aside from some improvements that Zastava made. I really like some of the features that are on here. If you're not familiar with those, go check out our other videos. I don't want to have to repeat all that now. So, the three generations, what are the differences? They're all getting very difficult to find. I think that Fime Group still has some EZ9s. The CZ999 and CZ999 you're not going to find unless you get it used somewhere. So the original, which looks somewhat like a Walther P88 and a CZ226 got together, they are all 15 plus 1 round. The magazines are interchangeable. I have not encountered any of the ones that have the low magazine indicator that was described on one of the forums. It was said to be a wire or pin that would poke you in the hand when you got down to the last 3 rounds, something along those lines. So the original CZ99, we don't have a rail, rather simplistic styling, more aggressive, finer cuts on the slide than in the later models. The hammer is a bit of a bob, but still reachable. Now this one, made in Yugoslavia. This is a pre-war or during the war model. I bought used, of course, and someone had Cerakoted it, refinished it, which blacked out the sights. So then I tried one of those do-it-yourself glow-in-the-dark sight kits. We have another video on that. And I used this gun for it because it was all blacked out and it was kind of difficult to use. But the controls are all the same on all three models, as are the general features, but the feel is a little bit different. This one for me doesn't work as well as the CZ999. And by work as well, I mean, like with this gun, this is probably one of the most accurate guns I own, if not the most accurate. Even though it was only $300, and people will laugh at it, and yes, I'm missing a screw. These grips that someone did for me didn't quite fit. The screw was a little shy and popped out, but they are comfortable and good looking. But yeah, with this gun I can't miss. It is just incredible. So when we moved on to the CZ999, and CZ, it's sort of known as Zastava, red flag. It's not the Česká Zabrana, the Czech armory that people think of. The red flag was the original name, or one of the names, of Zastava's factory. Zastava meaning flag. So this gun, made in Serbia, not Yugoslavia. Of course, it's the same factory, but Yugoslavia had dissolved when this was made. This was imported by Century Arms, whereas the original was imported by Mach 1 in Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't think they're still around. But controls are all the same. Still have the ambidextrous magazine release, ambidextrous decocker / slide lock. Serrations get a little broader here. You notice the hammer change. The hammer gets a little bit longer, which is a welcome change to it. And still no rail. This is a little closer to a 226. And then what I believe to be the most modern evolution of them is the EZ9. These are brought in by Fime Group. You see we get a rail. The grips are more similar to what you'd come to expect off of a modern firearm. Serrations are the same. The hammer changes once more to a rounded hammer. That makes it very easy. These things have great triggers, by the way. Now, the problem you're seeing here is one of the problems I've had with my EZ9, and I bought this new. Can't release the slide with an empty magazine. It locks back and stays locked back. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't have that problem on the CZ99. Gets a little confusing, or 999 gets confusing with the three models here. But the triggers are all about the same. They all fire about the same. For me, though, this is the gem. It could just be this particular example. The construction of them is all pretty similar. In fact, I'll field strip these real quick and we can look at the machining quality. So here we have all three slides lined up. Obviously, my CZ99 and my EZ9 are the compacts, whereas the CZ99 is the full size. But you can see that the construction is pretty much the same. We have machining marks on the barrels for all of them. All the features and internals are essentially the same, not much change there. They are all dirty, they all are used, keeping in mind that this one, the officially Yugoslavian production, is much older, but around the barrel looks nice, and some crude basic machining on the inside of the slide, but that's really no surprise, nor is it any detriment to the gun. If we take a look in the CZ99, basically about the same, some tooling marks, not the cleanest construction, but it functions, and it functions well. And I found that to be sort of a common attitude or theme in Serbia, was if it's not broken, don't fix it. They didn't bother with any extraneous efforts on anything. It was just make it work and make it work well, and that's admirable. And essentially the same markings inside here. So if you were wondering about differences between the three, it really is minimal. If you're looking for one of these, my experience has just been that the CZ99 was the most reliable, or has been the best of the three. I was disappointed with my EZ9. The slide release, just for some reason won't lift high enough to hold the slide back. You have to have an empty magazine for it to lock open, and then you can't drop the slide on an empty magazine. Not sure. I'm sure it's just this individual example, and that's not standard representation of the guns. Hopefully this helped highlight, show you some differences, and answer some questions. If you have any more questions, please leave them down below, and I'll get to them and try to give you answers. Thanks for watching. Alright, if you made it this far, you obviously appreciate what we're doing. We appreciate your support. If you can, go ahead and click on the giant griffin to subscribe and see more. Check out a suggested video up here based on what you've been looking at, or the relevant playlist to this video over here. Thanks again.